Over there. Yeah. John Enlow. Here. Rob Fuller. Dwight Green. Okay. Dean Gustafson. And Mike Harris. So, thank you all for being here with us today as we go through this. Again, statement that I wanted to give out before we begin in this process, and then we'll get into the three bills. Again, we have three bills on for discussion only today. I want to start by giving you an idea of what the process will look like in this committee between now and next week. Several bills were filed yesterday, including two congressional plans and a Senate plan that we expect this committee to consider and advance at a meeting next Monday. Amendments to the bill that are for discussion that are on for discussion today will be considered at the committee meeting next week. Members should have ample time and access to staff to prepare their amendments in advance of our next week meeting. We anticipate there will be floor sessions next Tuesday and Wednesday to consider these bills, as well as a redistricting plan for the House that will come over next week. The purpose of today's meeting is to provide committee members with the criteria that were used in drafting the maps related to Senate Bill 756, 757, and 758 that were filed yesterday. I believe we have that criteria that will be passed out to the committee members that's coming in.
Are you ready for that to go out now?
That can go out now. There are two documents that have been provided to the committee members and added to the committee's website regarding the criteria for congressional plans and Senate plans respectively. I'm not going to read these documents for you. We are going to hand them out. But you will see the categories represent traditional redistricting criteria substantially similar to that used in previous cycles of redistricting. The categories of equal population, traditional redistricting principles, compactness, contiguity, respect for existing political subdivisions, political considerations, and incumbent residents should not be foreign concepts to members of this committee. The major difference between these two documents is the use of the county grouping formula related to legislative maps as required by our Constitution and as contained in the Stevenson decision. I will note, it is important to note that the chairs did not use racial data when drawing the legislative and congressional maps. Let me explain why. The predominant use of race to draw districts violates the U.S. Constitution unless doing so serves a compelling government interest. In other words, if the legislature draws districts predominantly based upon race without a compelling interest, those districts would be declared illegal racial gerrymanders. We know this from the Cooper and Covington cases. As for the Voting Rights Act, in order for the predominant use of race to be justified under Section 2, there must be a strong basis in evidence of three Jingles conditions. Even assuming the presence of the three Jingles conditions, the use of race to draw districts must also be supported by the totality of the circumstances. Past decisions and court records demonstrate that to this point, nowhere in North Carolina can anyone provide evidence of the three Jingles preconditions. In the absence of any evidence of the three Jingles preconditions, the chairs elected not to use race in drawing these proposed districts, strictly to protect the state from lawsuits alleging illegal racial gerrymandering. To be clear, the chairs do not believe that the use of racial data would have been helpful in reaching any political or other legislative redistricting goal. Any political considerations in line drawing have been informed by political data, not racial data. That said, now that the maps under consideration have been filed and made public, the chairs will now formally direct central staff to load racial data into the Maptitude software following this committee meeting and apply that data layer to the proposed congressional and Senate maps. We ask that central staff apply that racial data, update the stat packs accordingly, and make that information publicly available on the General Assembly website as soon as possible. To emphasize once again, the chairs did not use racial data and statistics at any point in the construction of these districts. And the publication of racial statistics here does not inform the placement of any residents with any districts within these maps. Finally, as mentioned earlier, the committee will meet next week on Monday, and amendments to these bills will be considered at this meeting. I do believe that meeting will be at 10 a.m. on Monday, but notices will come out. The chairs at that time will consider any evidence that a member of this committee or a third party advocating altering plans for racial reasons brings forth that provides a strong basis in evidence that the jingles preconditions are present in a particular area of the state. Only then will the chairs consider using race in amending the districts to protect the state from liability under Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. Are there any questions? Senator Blue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Especially in the explanations of the last areas that you dipped into, I was reading the Allen versus Milligan case, the Alabama case that sort of breathed a new life into Section 2 challenges to redistricting plans. And it points out pretty specifically that and I'll quote generally, and then I'll ask you a question. It says, when it comes to considering race in the context of districting, we have made clear that there is a difference between being aware of racial considerations and being motivated by them. Section 2 itself, this is a continuation of a quote, Section 2 itself demands consideration of race. The question whether additional or whether majority-minority districts can be drawn after all involves a quintessentially race-conscious calculus. And the reason that I raise this now, although you were explaining the general conditions, is that even in the state jurisprudence, the Stevenson case says that's the first thing you do before you undertake redistricting. Do an analysis of the Voting Rights Act to see whether or not there's a necessity to draw districts. And that sort of leads up to this quote in Allen versus Milligan, that Section 2 itself, which our state's jurisprudence requires, is that you do this Section 2 analysis, and Milligan says that Section 2 itself demands consideration of race. And I'm trying to figure out how you don't do what the controlling case law says you're going to do from the federal standpoint, as well as a controlling case law from the state perspective in the Stevenson case.
Senator Blue, my response to that would be simply that we believe we can comply with both the Voting Rights Act and the Stevenson Act simultaneously. We believe that any concerns with the Voting Rights Act will be addressed with the racial data that we've now directed staff to do. And if adjustments are necessary at this point, we will consider them before the maps move forward. But we did not feel there was any need for the initial draw of the maps or districts to be done in consideration, only that the ultimate maps would make sure that that criteria was looked at.
Yeah, and if I could follow up, the only reason I raise it is that redistricting session after redistricting session after redistricting session in the state for the last 40 plus years have resulted in us making the same mistake. It happened in the 80s, it happened in the 90s, it happened in the alt portions of this century, and it happened in the teens. And so I'm hoping that we can consider all of these things. There's some smart lawyers around here on our staff and in other places, so that we don't get it wrong this time. Because I think that there are ways that we could address this that resolves that issue. Because one of the significant things is that if somebody is suing you, it's not necessarily based on a record, because we know that the record in this case isn't going to be what your thoughts are, what your intentions are. It's going to be the result. And if we can forecast what that would be about, it seems that we could address it before it happens and not go down this road for the fifth decade. That's the reason I raised the issue.
Appreciate it, but I'd also say that changing landscape and legal landscape may also be the reason for some of those changes over the decades, and others. We used to have to go through pre-clearance and do those type of things as well, and those are either part of the process or not part of the process now that's coming in. But I think we feel that we've established a process in developing these maps that will allow us to meet all the requirements, including the constitutional requirements that we believe do not allow us to use predominantly based on race-drawn districts.
One last comment on that, because I think that we can take some direction from Chief Justice Roberts' statements and implications a couple of weeks ago that until Congress decides to change Section 2, Section 2 is the controlling law of the land. And they have pretty much articulated what they believe Section 2 means now. And I was just going back, pulling together the jurisprudence that's been developed over the last, not starting with North Carolina, but certainly accentuated in North Carolina in the Jingles decision in the early 1980s. And it's pretty clear now that they've cleared up some of the confusion. And I think that Justice Roberts' quote from those cases pretty much sets us on the path that we ought to be looking at. And that is, until Congress decides something different about what Section 2 means, different from what the court has interpreted to be, we're bound by what it says and how it's been interpreted.
I appreciate your comments. Senator Marcus.
Yes, I had a question about your initial statement there as well, sort of following up on what Leader Blue said. I took notes while you were speaking, and you said that no one in the state can provide evidence that the three Jingles preconditions are present or apply in this case. And it seems to me that the way you determine if they're there or not is you do a racial polarization study to examine the racial voting patterns in different parts of the state. So my question is, have you done that? In other words, have you looked to see if they're present or not? Or are you waiting for somebody else to bring it to you?
I will say that this is not a new process we're beginning. This is a continuing process, and there are statements in court records that exist from as close as 2 years ago that indicate that the conditions of the Jingles factors were not met.
Follow-up clarification. So I think what I heard you just say is you haven't done a racial polarization study in to help draw these maps.
Studies regarding racial polarization were done as part of the lawsuit a year and a half ago, since the census data has been released.
Okay, and then I guess just one follow-up. So we're to take you at your word. You said a couple times here that you've not used racial data to draw these maps, and that you're only now adding it to the state system for the public to see the racial implications of the map. And I'm curious if we're to just take you at your word for that, or if you will be making your redistricting records publicly available so we know what racial data was used or not used in drawing these maps.
I will confirm that the chairs have not used racial data. You can confirm yourself with central staff. It is not part of the software system. The data has never been uploaded to, including the computer that was provided to the Democrats in 605, racial data has not been added up to any of the systems that draw the maps and was not considered by myself, Senator Daniels, in the drawing of these maps. It's simply not there.
it's not on the maps that the computers that have been made publicly available in this building, but we don't know what other computers might have been used or what other data is available. So that's why I'm asking if all if all of your records related to drawing these maps will be available to the public, or again, are we just supposed to?
I will simply
Believe.
state again in front of this committee and others that no racial data was used in drawing this map. I've never figured out in all the mathematics how you prove a negative. If I could do it, I would, and there's a Nobel Prize in that. But I would say that racial data was not used in the drawing of these maps.
I don't think it'd be worthy of a Nobel Prize, but I will say if you provide all the evidence and all the records related to drawing of maps and nowhere in all of that evidence is there racial data, then I think that's how you prove you didn't use it. But if you don't want to go that route, then I suppose we can't force you now. I'll stop there for now.
I prefer to simply not use it. Any other questions or comments? All right, we will then move, I'm going to step over and begin the presentation of 756. I will present 756 and 757 here, and we'll hand the gavel to Senator Daniels to others, but I think we can go ahead and start handing out what we have for 756.
756 is on the member's desk. Would you like us to go ahead and start handing out 757?
Yeah, and you can bring the map up there if you like.
Senator Heiss. 756 CBP-5.
There is a code and all that to which staff member was there when this one was finalized.
If they can, they have a copy of the bill on their desk. The short title of the bill at the very end should also say CBP-5.
And
Well, not quite yet, but
you can read that bit, if you can read the text of that bill, binary is in your future as well.
they'll just be in the queue. All right, Senator Heiss, I believe you're prepared to present Senate Bill 756, so you're recognized to present the bill.
Okay. I will go through individually what these congressional districts are and what's there. I'll begin in numerical order. Congressional District 1, which is a light mustard colored in the northern eastern part of the state. Congressional District 1 is a district rooted in the rural northeast North Carolina and coming west into the more deeply, densely populated areas of Durham and Chapel Hill. This district contains 9 whole counties: Bertie, Durham, Edgecombe, Granville, Halifax, Hertford, Northampton, Vance, and Warren, and 2 partial counties, Orange and Pitt. It contains all whole municipalities with the exception of Greenville. The district is drawn from the northeast into the triangle to preserve the district in this area of the state that has existed in one form or another since 1992. This map does that by pairing the rural core of existing district that has been losing population with the growing areas in the triangle. There is no incumbent in this district. It splits only one VTD in Pitt County in order to equalize the population between districts. District number 2, which is a darker blue district. The 2nd Congressional District is located wholly within Wake County and contains more than 93% of Raleigh's population. It contains all of Mooresville and almost all of Apex, Cary, and Knightdale as well. The district splits only one VTD, and there are 2 current incumbents in this district. Congressional District 3, which is the pinkish purplish in the eastern part of the state. Congressional District 3 is a district based in eastern North Carolina. For many years, this district has essentially provided a mirror image to the 1st Congressional District in this area of the state. And this configuration is no different. It contains 17 whole counties, 2 split counties, Pitt and Wayne. The district contains only 2 split municipalities, Goldsboro and Greenville, and only 2 split VTDs are required in order to equalize population. There are 2 incumbents in this district. Congressional District 4, which I'm trying to find this, is a more pinkish purple in the northern center of the state. The 4th Congressional District is rooted in the Greater Triangle area. It includes all of Alamance, Caswell, Person, Randolph, Rockingham, and Stokes counties, as well as the portions of Chatham, Orange, and Wake County. These counties have similar geography, industry, and proximity to the population base in the region near Durham and Raleigh. There is 1 split VTD in Chatham County and 1 in Wake County. Both were split to equalize population between the districts. The current incumbent is included in this district. Congressional District 5, which is the yellow in the northwest. Congressional District 5 is based in the northwestern corner of North Carolina and is made up of 9 whole counties. Those counties are Alexander, Allegheny, Ashe, Caldwell, Surrey, Watauga, Wilkes, and Yadkin. The district also contains portions of Forsyth and Guilford County. Almost 75% of Greensboro residents are kept together here in Congressional District 5. The district is also home to 1 incumbent. Congressional District 6, which is purplish, darker purplish, more in the center of the state. The 6th Congressional District is made up of Iredell and Rowan counties, as well as portions of Cabarrus and Guilford County. This is a compact district that maintains a district taking in suburban areas between Charlotte and the Triad that existed in various versions of congressional maps since the 1990s. This district splits 1 VTD each in Cabarrus and Guilford counties for the purposes of equalizing population. There is no incumbent in the district. Congressional District 7, which is the, I'll go with light blue, color in the southeastern part of the state. Congressional District 7 is made up of 5 whole counties in southeastern North Carolina, including Bladen, Brunswick, New Hanover, Onslow, and Pender counties. It contains a portion of Cumberland County. There are only 2 split municipalities in the district, Fayetteville and Hope Mills. It contains more than 97% of Hope Mills. The district contains 1 split VTD. The current incumbent lives in this district. The 8th Congressional District, which is a reddish color, more into the south, it is made up of 6 whole counties: Harnett, Lee, Montgomery, Moore, Sampson, and Stanley, and part of 3 other counties, Chatham, Cumberland, and Hoke. There is 1 split VTD in each of these partial counties to equalize population between the district. The incumbent lives in this district. Congressional District 9 is situated along the southern border of the state. It contains 6 whole counties: Anson, Columbus, Richmond, Robeson, Scotland, and Union. It also includes portions of Cabarrus, Hoke, and Mecklenburg counties. 1 VTD is split in each of these counties for the purpose of equalizing population. Congressional District 10, which is a pewter green, I guess we'll call that. The 10th Congressional District is made up of 4 whole counties: Catawba, Iredell, Lincoln, and Yadkin, as well as part of Forsyth County. It is a compact district that connects the suburbs outside of Charlotte-Mecklenburg County to Winston-Salem. The district keeps 92% of Winston-Salem's population in the same district, splits 1 VTD in Forsyth County for the purpose of equalizing population. The current incumbent lives in the district. The purple in the west. Congressional District 11 is a western North Carolina district that takes in most of the mountain counties, and the westmost tip of North Carolina contains 15 whole counties. It splits 1 VTD in Buncombe County to equalize population, and there are only 2 municipalities split by the district: Black Mountain and Montreat. There is 1 incumbent in this district. Congressional District 12. This is the blue in Mecklenburg County. The 12th Congressional District is a Charlotte district. Charlotte population is too large for one congressional district, so it must be split, and 95% of the district is made up of Charlotte, and 81% of the city is in this congressional district. There is one VTD split, and there are 2 incumbents in this district. Congressional District 13, which runs from, looking for the color. Where's 13? It's Wake, yes, which runs from Wake County to, I'll go ahead and get it. Congressional District running, it's green. Running from Raleigh suburbs to the East Coast in Carteret County, it is made up of 6 whole counties: Carteret, Craven, Duplin, Johnson, Jones, and Pamlico, as well as a portion of Wayne County. The district also contains the unincorporated areas of Wake County in the north and southeast of Raleigh. VTDs are split in Wake and Wayne County for the purpose of equalizing population. There are no incumbents in this district. And the 14th Congressional District, which is a wonderful mustard, dark mustard color, that's what coming in. The 14th Congressional District is made up of 4 whole counties: Burke, Cleveland, Gaston, and Rutherford, and the portion of Mecklenburg County that contains the municipalities and towns to the west and north of Charlotte, as well as a portion of Buncombe County. VTDs are split in Buncombe and Mecklenburg County only to equalize population. The district will be open with no incumbent. And going through our criteria, all 14 of these districts are known to be, are drawn to 0 deviation or to 1 person less than the ideal. Point contiguity is not used on this map. The map divides just 12 counties. There is one in each district situated entirely within Mecklenburg and Wake County, which are the only 2 counties of sufficient size to contain an entire congressional district. Racial data was not used in the drafting of this plan. There were just 13 total VTD splits in this map. All the districts are compact. Member residence was considered in the drawing of the map. County lines, VTDs, and municipal boundaries were considered when possible to form districts that do not split these existing political subdivisions.
Thank you, Senator Heiss. Any questions for Senator Heiss? Senator Blue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Heiss, in looking at the criteria that the chair has adopted, there's only one city in the state that would have to be split for you not to split any municipality. Is that right?
Senator Heiss.
Was that a confusing question? Let me
No,
ask you.
I believe Wake does not reach that criteria, so Charlotte would be the only that would not have to be.
And Charlotte is the only one.
That would have to be.
And secondly, I really appreciate and admire your admiration for Raleigh. But I take it by this map, then the communities of interest in Carteret County are the same as the communities of interest up in Stokes County? Since pieces of Raleigh are represented in both of those districts that go from Carteret to Stokes?
I would say, as we have in others, we have done what we can to maintain identified communities of interest within this map.
Could you share with us, if you would, what are the communities of interest that overlap with respect to Raleigh and Carteret, and also Raleigh, Carteret, and Stokes, or Rockingham, or Caswell?
I would simply say from geographic location and other subdivisions that we have considered. I would also point out, as the criteria would clearly identify, that that was not our only consideration in drawing these maps. There are other subdivisions and interests that were also considered.
Further question, Mr. Chairman.
You're recognized for a series of questions.
Looking at traditional redistricting principles, which derive from concepts of due process, how do you satisfy the compactness requirement that typically appears and has appeared in redistricting criteria since the 1960s?
I believe, and I don't have it from me, there are two measures of criteria of compactness that were provided to all committee members in the stat pack for each of the districts.
And if I could follow up on that, one is what, Rioch and Polsby, somebody? Poppy, yeah. And do you know how these districts' compactness compares with the compactness of the two sets of maps that, the set of maps that were enacted in 21 for 22, as well as the set of maps that was adopted by the federal court or the state court?
State court.
Yeah.
Those numbers are all available. I do not have those in front of me, but I'm sure staff can get you copies of what those compactness scores were for previous maps that were drawn.
One final question, I think that sticks out at you. If you could keep Raleigh whole, which would be about 60% of a congressional district, I think, can you tell me what went into the decision not to do that, but to split Wake County 3 separate ways with pieces of Raleigh in all of the splits?
I would tell you from experience drawing the map, the concept of keeping Raleigh whole and interweaving with the satellite annexations and others of the other municipalities around it that's coming in would require extensive divisions of VTDs and potentially even census tracts in order to maintain those divisions. But we have kept it as what I believe is whole as practical.
And last follow-up, if you found your statement not to be totally accurate, would that cause you to approach this a different way? That is, if you could keep Raleigh whole and accommodate for the gaps between by incorporating them into the same congressional district, wouldn't that enable you to observe this criteria of respecting municipal boundaries?
I think we have respected the municipal boundaries of Raleigh. If you would like to propose something that divides fewer of those other municipalities as well that's coming in, I think we'll say this several times today, the drawing rooms are open and we would be open to consider those proposals. I think you said you had a series.
Yeah, I got another question. I just was waiting to get the chair's attention. If I
I just
could.
wanted to comment on one of the things that Senator Heiss, I think, said that compactness data was already included in the stat pack. It is actually not, but the members of the committee can request that information from staff.
And one last question. I noticed that it appears, at least from the way I'm able to see it, Wake County and Mecklenburg County were the only two counties that were split multiple times. Is that right?
They are also the only two counties that wholly contain a congressional district.
And if you had put all of Raleigh in one congressional district, you could have taken the remainder of the county, create another congressional district, right? Joined with the surrounding area. That wouldn't cause it to be split 3 times to 3 separate districts, would it?
No, but that would require the splitting of more counties. The number of county splits that are consistent that have to occur in a 14-district map, if fewer district counties are, if Wake County is split fewer times, more counties would have to be split in the state.
So that, if I could follow up so that I understand what you're saying, if you split Wake County more than one time, then you have to split some other county more than one time?
You would have to split some other county. We have kept as many counties whole as we could in this process. You would have fewer whole counties if you selected one of those counties and only split it once.
It seems logical to me, Senator Heiss, that, and certainly mathematically suggestive that all you got to do is make 12 or 13 splits, and you can get perfectly balanced districts.
Yes, if there are 14 districts, 13 splits would balance the districts.
And you put 4 of those splits in 2 counties,
Correct.
which means that the other 9 are spread out, could be spread out among 98 other counties.
Which means that there are more counties undivided in this map as a result.
Any other questions for Senator Heiss on this map? Senator,
Senator Blue, your mic's still on.
all right, seeing none, hearing none. Senator Heiss, I believe let's move to the next bill that's on the committee calendar. Senate Bill 757. Realign Congressional Districts 2023 CCJ-1. Senator Heiss, you are recognized to explain the bill.
So, and as we change the entire color scheme, I think, did members have this map as well? Okay. This one's been handed out. I will begin again with Congressional District 1 in the Northeast. Congressional District 1 is a district taking in most of the rural Northeast North Carolina. It contains 21 whole counties. We have heard throughout the process it is important to keep the counties forming the belt along the northern border of the state together. We have also heard of the fingerling counties in northeastern North Carolina constitute a community of interest. This version of Congressional District 1 keep these counties together in one district. There is one split county in the district, Granville. There are 0 municipalities split by this district. There is 1 precinct split in Granville County for the purpose of equalizing population. The district retains its current incumbent. Congressional District 2, which is blue, that's what's coming in. The second congressional district is located wholly within Wake County and contains more than 99% of Raleigh's population. It contains all of Knightsville and almost all of Wendell, as well as a majority of Garner, Rollsville, and Wake Forest. There are 2 current incumbents in this district. Congressional District 3, which is a light mustard yellow, that's coming in, is a district based in southeastern North Carolina. It contains 10 whole counties, Beaufort, Carteret, Craven, Dare, Duplin, Hyde, Jones, Pamlico, Pitt, and Sampson. And 1 split county, Cumberland. The district contains only 1 split municipality, and the only split VTD is required in order to equalize population. There is 1 incumbent in this district. Congressional District 4, pink, that's coming in. The 4th Congressional District is based in the Greater Triangle area. It includes all of Durham and Orange counties, as well as portions of Chatham and Wake counties. These counties have similar geographic, industry, and proximity to the population base in the region near Durham and Raleigh. This district encompasses the whole municipalities of Apex, Carrboro, Chapel Hill, Durham, Hillsborough, and Pittsboro. There is 1 split VTD in Chatham County and 1 in Wake County. Both were split to equalize population between the districts. The current incumbent is included in this district. Congressional District 5. Congressional District 5 is based in the northwest corner of North Carolina and is made up of 9 whole counties. It is yellow on this map. These counties are Alexander, Allegheny, Ashe, Caldwell, Rockingham, Stokes, Surrey, Watauga, and Wilkes. The district also contains a portion of Guilford County. There are only 2 municipalities split by the district, Greensboro and Summerfield. Almost 75% of Greensboro residents are kept together here in Congressional District 5. The district is home to 1 incumbent. Congressional District 6. It is made up of Davidson, Davie, and Rowan counties, as well as portions of Cabarrus, Forsyth, and Guilford County. This is a compact district that maintains a district taking in the suburban areas between Charlotte and the Triad and has existed in various forms of congressional maps since the 1990s. District splits one VTD each in Cabarrus, Forsyth, and Guilford County for the purpose of equalizing population. Congressional District 7 is made up of 6 whole counties. It's the maroonish red 7. It's made of 6 whole counties, including Bladen, Brunswick, Columbus, New Hanover, Onslow, and Pender counties. It contains a portion of Robeson County. There is only one split municipality in the district, and it contains 75% of Lumberton. Almost uniquely and magically, this district contains 0 split VTDs. The populations happen to work out in such a manner that's coming in. Next, the 8th Congressional District. The 8th Congressional District is made up of 6 whole counties: Anson, Montgomery, Richmond, Scotland, Stanley, and Union, and parts of 3 other counties: Cabarrus, Mecklenburg, and Robeson. There is 1 split VTD in Cabarrus County. District 9, light blue. Congressional District 9 is situated in the center of the state. It contains 4 whole counties: Alamance, Hope, Moore, and Randolph. It also includes portions of Chatham, Cumberland, and Guilford counties. 1 VTD is split in each of these counties for the purpose of equalizing population. The current incumbent lives in this district. The 10th Congressional District, which is again, that mauve green, or I'm not good with colors. The 10th Congressional District is made up of 4 whole counties: Catawba, Iredell, Lincoln, and Yadkin, as well as part of Forsyth County. It is a compact district which connects the suburbs outside of the Charlotte area in and around to the areas in and around Winston-Salem. It splits no municipalities and splits 1 VTD in Forsyth County for the purpose of equalizing population. The current Speaker Pro Tem of the U.S. House lives in this district. Congressional District 11, the darker purple. Congressional District 11 is a western North Carolina district that takes in most of the mountain counties and the westernmost tip of North Carolina. It contains 15 whole counties. It splits 1 VTD in Polk County to equalize population, and there are no municipalities split by the district. There is 1 incumbent in the district. Congressional District 12, yellow, is a Charlotte district. Charlotte's population is too large for a congressional district, so it must be split. 95% of this district is made up of Charlotte, and 81% of the city is in this congressional district. VTDs are split only to equalize population and ensure that there are no other municipalities in the district. Congressional District 13, which is green, that's coming in, is made up of the suburbs and exurban counties surrounding the Triangle area and Wake County. This is made up of 6 whole counties, including Caswell, Franklin, Harnett, Johnson, Lee, and Person, as well as most of Granville County. The district also contains the unincorporated areas of Wake County north and southeast of Raleigh. There is 1 VTD split in Granville County to equalize population, and 5 DDDs split along the eastern border of Wake County in order to avoid a double transversal into the county line. The district will be an open district with no incumbent. The 14th Congressional District, the dark mustard orange. The 14th Congressional District is made up of 4 whole counties, including Burke, Cleveland, Gaston, and Rutherford, and a portion of Mecklenburg County that contains the municipalities and towns to the west and north of Charlotte, as well as a portion of Polk County. VTDs are split only to equalize population. There are no incumbents in this district. Going through all the criteria, all 4 of these districts are drawn to 0 deviation or to 1 person less than the ideal. There is no point contiguity used in this map. The map divides only 10 counties. There are districts wholly within Mecklenburg and Wake County, which are only 2 counties of sufficient size to contain a congressional district. Racial data was not used in the drafting of this map. Therefore, There are just 18 total VTDs split in the map, and all the districts are compact. Member residence was considered. VTDs and municipal boundaries were considered when possible to form districts that do not split these existing political subdivisions.
Thank you, Senator Heiss. Any questions about this bill, Senate Bill 757? Senator Marcus.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I noticed, Senator Heiss, when you described this map as well as the other congressional map, at the end in the summary, you both said that they are compact. You used the word compact. And I noticed that is one of the criteria published today that the committee used. But there's not much meat on the bones of what you mean when you say compact. So I think we just established with Chair Daniels' comment that the compactness scores have not been provided. So I'm wondering, is that what you use? When you say they're compact, do you mean that they have good Polsby-Popper and REAC scores, or do you mean something else?
The measures of compactness have always been those two scores that are here. There are standards that we've had for a while as to what means compact, the number above and below. I don't have that on top of my head, but we can get that to staff that come with those, and I believe it's something like a 0.2 or a 0.3. Below is compact, above is, but I'd have to review those to show that determination.
Okay, follow-up?
Do you have a series of questions?
If I could.
Yes, you're recognized for a series.
Thank you. So you may have answered this when you were talking to Leader Blue. I'm not sure. Have you run that analysis to compare the compactness scores of these two that you're proposing here, and then to each other, to compare to each other, and then also to compare to the map that is currently enacted? Do you know how those compactness scores compare?
The correct use of the compactness scores is not whether a 0.17 is somehow different than a 0.9. The use of the compactness scores is whether they meet a barrier of compactness or not.
Have you compared whatever number you think makes sense? Have you done that comparison?
We
Like,
have
can you
seen
tell us between these two congressional maps, and then as those two compare to the map that we're currently operating on here in North Carolina, how those scores compare?
We will get a list of all those scores, but as I've understood for years as we have done this, the use of those markers are not the delta between two different maps, but whether or not a particular district in its drawing meets compactness or not.
Okay, then I guess we're back to my first question, which is you asserted at the end in summary that they are compact, and I'm asking you to explain a little more, to put some meat on that. What do you mean then? If it's not compare one map to another for compactness and looking for the most compact map we can draw, then what does it mean to you to say they're compact?
So, I wish I had the exact numbers to pull out to what the score of compactness is. It is my understanding, I have seen all the numbers, it is my understanding that all the districts drawn meet that score of compactness for the test.
Meaning a certain number that you can't remember? When you say meet that score, you mean you think there's some number?
That they are all below.
Okay, but you don't know what that number is?
Off the top of my head, I do not, but I will release that to the committee.
Okay.
I would just add that compactness is just one criteria among many that are in our stated criteria.
Thank you.
Any further questions for Senator Heiss? Senator Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And before I ask my question, can I just make a request that staff give us the compactness report for these two maps? And if you have one for the current map, that would be helpful as well.
Yeah, the staff says they can post that to the committee website.
Perfect, thank you. Senator Heiss, thank you for your detailed explanation. And I am not an attorney like my two colleagues. I'm just a simple guy from Guilford County, which is very important to me, as well as the triad, which is Greensboro, High Point, and Winston-Salem, because that functions basically as one economy. And for years, they haven't necessarily worked together, but in recent history, I think my other colleague from the nation of the triad would agree. We've been working together well and making good progress. at the federal and state and local level. So my question is, number one, why would we split Guilford County among 3 different congressional districts when that's not necessary?
Counties, as I said when Senator Blue was asking a very similar question, the larger counties being split multiple times means that we create maps where the total number of counties divided is lower. We got this map to, I think it was 10 counties that were divided. That requires multiple splits within a particular county. Congratulations to Guilford for having the opportunity of being represented by 3 members of Congress, something not a lot of municipalities have the strength to be able to accomplish.
I'm going to leave that one alone. So my next question then, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
You're recognized for a series of questions.
Thank you. I know we've talked a lot about the number of county splits and reducing that. During your presentation, you talked about communities of interest through different corridors and parts of the state. So is a community of interest less important than the number of county splits, more important, or equal weight? I'm just trying to determine, because to me, a city, a municipality, or a economic region is a community of interest. Where would that rate in the hierarchy of the other data?
We have provided no ranking of criteria on this. There are multiple criteria that we consider. I will say, unlike any others, the county boundaries are the most consistent groupings that exist. VTDs can be changed annually by the Board of Elections. I think the last time we changed a county boundary was about 112 years ago when Avery County was created.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have any further questions, except I would just like, Guilford County would like to have 1 member of Congress, not 3.
All right, seeing no further questions, Senator Heiss, thank you for that presentation. And Sergeants at Arms, if you would go ahead and pass out the North Carolina Senate map, and the materials that go with Senate Bill 758, and we'll momentarily begin that presentation.
Okay. Senate Bill 758, realign NC Senate Districts 23, SCJ1 for discussion only. Whenever you're ready, Senator Daniels, you're recognized to explain the bill.
Thanks, Senator Heiss. Members, and so I'm going to go through the districts like Senator Heiss has been doing with the other maps. So this could take some time. I'm not going to try to describe the color schemes Senator Heiss did. You'll have to kind of figure that out. Senate District 1 is created by the county grouping choice in northeastern North Carolina. The chairs chose the configuration that makes Senate District 1 out of the following whole counties: Northampton, Bertie, Hertford, Gates, Perquimans, Pasquotank, Camden, Currituck, Terrell, and Dare. This configuration leaves 4 of the 5 finger counties in northeastern North Carolina in one district. Many of the residents of these counties work or travel frequently to the Virginia Tidewater area. 7 of the 10 counties and 81% of the population in Senate District 1 are in the Norfolk media market: Dare, Currituck, Camden, Pasquotank, Perquimans, Hertford, and Gates, with the other 3 divided between Greenville, Market, Terrell and Bertie, and Raleigh, Northampton, containing 19% of the district's population. All of the counties in North Carolina that are in the Norfolk media market are in Senate District 1, except for Chowan. The incumbent in Senate District 1 is Senator Hanig from Currituck. Senate District 2 follows the Roanoke River from Warren County to the Albemarle Sound in Washington County. Chowan County, directly across the Albemarle Sound from Washington County, is also grouped into this district. Hyde County, also on the Sound, is in this district, as is Pamlico County, along with the Pamlico River and Pamlico Sound. Finally, Carteret County, spanning the inner and outer banks, is the southernmost county in the district. 5 of the 8 counties in the district are in the Greenville media market, with the other 3 being split between the Raleigh media market, that would be Warren and Halifax, and Norfolk media market, Chowan. 2/3 of the population of this district live in the Greenville media market. The incumbent in Senate District 2 is Senator Sanderson from Pamlico. Senate District 3 is unchanged from the previous map, but renumbered. It is created by the base county grouping map, Lenoir, Craven, and Beaufort counties. The incumbent in Senate District 3 is Senator Perry from Lenoir. And if I could get the Sergeant-at-Arms to I don't have a paper copy of the map, if somebody could bring me one. Senate District 4 is unchanged from the previous map and is created by the base county grouping map, Wayne, Wilson, and Greene counties. This incumbent in Senate District 4 is Senator Buck Newton from Wilson County. Senate District 5, thanks, is unchanged from the previous map and created by the base county grouping map, Edgecombe and Pitt counties. The incumbent is in Senate District 5 is Senator Smith from Pitt County. Senate District 6 is unchanged from the previous map, created by the base county grouping map, Onslow County. The incumbent in Senate District 6 is Senator Lazzara from Onslow. Senate District 7 and 8 together comprise Columbus, Brunswick, and New Hanover counties. Senate District 7 is created by the county grouping choice in southeastern North Carolina. New Hanover is larger than the maximum Senate district, therefore the chairs chose to move 6 precincts out of Senate District 7 and into Senate District 8. Senate District 7 is thus New Hanover County minus these precincts, and the precincts that are subtracted are W03, W12, W15, W25, 27, and W29. The incumbent in Senate District 7 is Senator Lee from New Hanover. Senate District 8 includes Columbus and Brunswick counties, plus the precincts that I just mentioned from New Hanover. The incumbent in Senate District 8 is Senator Rabin from Brunswick County. Senate District 9 and Senate District 12 remain unchanged from the previous map. Bladen, Duplin, Pender, and Jones County are whole in Senate District 9. Sampson County is split between the 2 districts. 1 precinct, Plainview, was moved from Senate District 9 to 12, leaving the rest of Sampson County in Senate District 9. The incumbent in Senate District 9 is Senator Jackson from Sampson County. Senate District 10 is unchanged from the previous map and is created by the base county grouping map, Johnson County. The incumbent is Senator Sari from Johnson. Senate District 11 is unchanged from the previous map and is created by the base county grouping map, Vance, Franklin, and Nash counties. The incumbent in Senate District 11 is Senator Barnes from Nash County. Senate District 12 is made up of Lee and Harnett counties plus the Plainview precinct in Sampson, as described previously. The incumbent in Senate District 12 is Senator Bergen from Harnett County. Senate District 13, Wake and Granville counties form a 6-district, 2-county grouping in the base Senate map. The overall population within the county grouping is 1,190,402, meaning the ideal population for each of the 6 districts within the pod is 198,400. Only 52 people above the minus 5% deviation limit for Senate districts in the state. All 6 districts were very close to the minus 5 deviation limit, and some VTDs had to be split in order to comply with the 1 person, 1 vote. In this map, the chairs split 6 of Wake County's 212 precincts. Senate District 13 is Southern Wake and includes unincorporated areas, Fuquay, Varina, and parts of Holly Springs. There is not an incumbent in Senate District 13. Senate District 14 includes Garner, Knightdale, Wendell, Zebulon, Southeast Raleigh, and much of downtown Raleigh. The incumbent in Senate District 14 is Senator Blue from Wake. Senate District 15 is located in the central part and north part of Raleigh. There are 2 incumbents residing in Senate District 15, Senator Chaudhry of Wake and Senator Grafstein of Wake. Senate District 16 is West Raleigh and Central Cary. The incumbent in Senate District 16 is Senator Adcock. Senate District 17 includes Western Cary, Morrisville, and Apex. The incumbent in this district is Senator Batch of Wake. Senate District 18 includes Granville County, unincorporated areas in northern Wake County, the northern Wake towns of Wake Forest and Rollsville, and parts of Zebulon. The incumbent in Senate District 18 is Senator Bodie from Granville. Moore and Cumberland counties form a two-county, this is Senate District 19. Moore and Cumberland counties form a two-county, two-district grouping in the base Senate map. Senate District 19 was drawn keeping as much of Fayetteville whole as possible. The city of Fayetteville has an irregular shape and many satellite annexation and shares precincts with other municipalities such as Hope Mills. The end result is a district that includes over 88% of the population of Fayetteville and nearly 15% of the population of Hope Mills. The incumbent in District 19 is Senator Applewhite from Cumberland. Senate District 21 was drawn keeping Moore County whole and the more rural areas of Cumberland County to the extent possible. As stated above, the irregular shapes of municipalities and precincts containing more than one municipality in them made it difficult to keep all municipalities whole. So Senate District 1 includes 85% of the population of Hope Mills and 12% of the population of Fayetteville. The incumbent in Senate District 21 is Senator McGinnis from Moore County. Chatham and Durham counties form a two-county, two-district grouping in the base Senate map and is unchanged from the previous map. The incumbent in Senate District 20 is Senator Murdoch from Durham County. 22, the incumbent in Senate District 22 is Senator Woodard from Durham County. Senate District 23 is unchanged from the previous map and is created by the base county grouping, Caswell, Person, and Orange counties. The incumbent in this district, 23, is Senator Meyer from Orange County. Senate District 24 is unchanged from the previous map and is created by the base county grouping map, Scotland, Hoke, and Robinson. The incumbent in Senate District 24 is Senator Britt from Robinson. Alamance, Randolph, Montgomery, Richmond, Anson, Union, and Cabarrus counties comprise a 7-county, 4-district grouping with these Senate seats: District 25, District 29, District 34, and District 35. This county grouping is in the base Senate map. Because of how the counties are aligned in the populations they're in, the counties that must be split between districts are Cabarrus, Union, and Randolph. Alamance, Montgomery, Richmond, and Anson counties are left whole within their districts. Senate District 25 comprises Alamance County and 7 precincts across northern Randolph County, including the towns of Archdale, Level Cross, Sophia, Randleman, Liberty, and Staley. Senator Gailey of Alamance is the incumbent in Senate District 25. Senate District 29 comprises the rest of Randolph County, all of Montgomery, Richmond, and Anson, and the city of Monroe, and the southeastern part of Union County. The incumbent in Senate District 29 is Senator Craven from Randolph. Senate District 35 comprises the rest of Union County and the southern corner of Cabarrus. There are 2 split precincts in the southern part of Cabarrus County. The incumbent in Senate District 35 is Senator Johnson from Union. Senate District 34 comprises most of Cabarrus County, all but 1 full precinct and small portions of 2 other precincts in the south. The incumbent in Senate District 34 is Senator Paul Newton from Cabarrus County. Guilford and Rockingham counties form a 2-county, 3-district grouping in the base Senate map. Rockingham County is left whole within Senate District 26. Senate District 26 includes many of the unincorporated and bedroom community areas of Guilford County, along with Rockingham County. The incumbent in Senate District 26 is Senator Berger from Rockingham. Senate District 27 includes all of the High Point precincts, western Greensboro, and the town of Summerfield. 2 precincts were split in order to keep Summerfield whole. The incumbent in Senate District 27 is Senator Garrett. Senate District 28 is based in Greensboro and includes the central and eastern parts of the city. The incumbent in Senate District 28 is Senator Robinson from Guilford. Senate District 30 is unchanged from the previous map and is created by the base county grouping. Davie, Davidson counties, Senator Jarvis from Davidson is the incumbent in Senate District 30. Senate District 33 is unchanged from the previous map and is created by the base county grouping map, Rowan and Stanley counties. Senator Ford from Rowan is the incumbent in Senate District 33. Senate District 31 and 32 are in the two-county pod that includes Stokes and Forsyth counties. Senate District 31 is drawn to keep Stokes whole and the small towns and rural areas outside of Winston-Salem in Forsyth County together. The incumbent in Senate District 31 is Senator Kravick from Forsyth. Senate District 32 includes most of the city of Winston-Salem. The incumbent in Senate District 32 is Senator Lowe of Forsyth County. Senate District 36 is unchanged from the previous map and is created by the same county grouping choice in northwestern North Carolina, which includes Alexander, Wilkes, Surrey, and Yadkin. The incumbent in Senate District 36 is Senator Settle from Wilkes County. 6 Senate districts are contained in the two-county grouping of Mecklenburg and Iredell. Those are Senate District 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, and 42. This county grouping is created by the base map. Senate District 37 keeps Iredell County whole and contains the northernmost precincts in Mecklenburg County and 1 split precinct. There are 2 incumbents in Senate District 37, Senator Sawyer from Iredell and Senator Marcus from Mecklenburg. Senate District 38 is located in northern Mecklenburg County and includes the bedroom communities of north of Charlotte, but south of Senate District 37 and precincts in northeast Charlotte. The incumbent in Senate District 38 is Senator Mohammed. Senate District 39 is located in southwestern Mecklenburg County and includes unincorporated areas along the Gaston County line and South Carolina border, West Charlotte, Steel Creek, Pineville, and the South Boulevard and Park Road corridors from South Charlotte to Uptown. Senator Salvador from Mecklenburg is the incumbent. Senate District 40 includes East Charlotte, the University area, and precincts along the Cabarrus County line. Senator Waddell from Mecklenburg is the incumbent in Senate District 40. Senate District 41 includes Charlotte, Uptown, and neighborhoods such as Noda, Plaza Midwood, Greer Heights, and Cotswold. There is no incumbent in Senate District 41. Senate District 42 includes Matthews and Mint Hill, Ballantyne, and South Charlotte. Neighborhoods such as Myers Park, Barclay Downs, Quail Hollow, Old Providence, and Providence Plantation. The incumbent in the district is Senator Hunt from Mecklenburg. Senate District 43 is unchanged from the current map and is drawn wholly in Gaston County. 5 precincts are pulled out of the Gaston base district. The 3 Cherryville precincts, Landers, Chapel, and Tryon to stay within the correct population range. The incumbent in Senate District 43 is Senator Overcash from Gaston. Senate District 44 is also unchanged and is comprised of the 5 precincts from Gaston listed above, plus the counties of Lincoln and Cleveland. The incumbent in this district, 44, is Senator Alexander from Cleveland. Senate District 48 is unchanged from the current map and is comprised of the 3 county grouping containing Henderson, Polk, and Rutherford. The incumbent is Senator Moffitt in Senate District 48 from Henderson. Senate District 46 includes Olive, Burke, and McDowell counties, plus most of the unincorporated precincts and small towns in Buncombe County. And I'm the incumbent in that district. Senate District 49 includes the rest of Buncombe County, including all of Asheville and Weaverville. The incumbent in Senate District 48 is Senator Mayfield from Buncombe. The base Senate map includes a Western North Carolina county grouping comprising 3 districts, 45, 47, and 50, and 17 counties: Allegheny, Ashe, Watauga, Caldwell, Catawba, Avery, Mitchell, Yancey, Madison, Haywood, Transylvania, Jackson, Swain, Graham, Macon, Clay, and Cherokee. Because of how the counties are aligned and the population therein, the counties that must be split between districts are Caldwell and Haywood. Senate District 45 includes all of Catawba and the southern parts of Caldwell County. Senator Proctor of Catawba is the incumbent in 45. Senate District 47 includes the rest of Caldwell County, all of Allegheny, Ashe, Watauga, Avery, Mitchell, Yancey, and Madison, and northeastern Haywood. The incumbent in Senate District 47 is Senator Heiss from Mitchell. Senate District 50 includes the rest of Haywood and all of Transylvania, Jackson, Swain, Graham, Macon, Clay, and Cherokee. Senator Corbin from Macon is the incumbent in Senate District 50. And that, I believe, is all of the districts. Senator Heiss, Mr. Chair.
Marathon job. So, thank you. Questions or comments? Senator Marcus.
I'll get us started, if that's okay. Similar question to what I asked when we were discussing the congressional maps. I think the public has a right to know. I would certainly like to know what considerations went into drawing these maps, and I'm wondering if you will make your records, all of them, related to redistricting available to the public.
You have the criteria the maps are drawn on?
Yeah, the criteria has been passed out to the committee. The maps were all drawn in one room on a government computer, which is here in the General Assembly.
Follow up? My question was about things that were discussed, debated, maybe maps that were considered and then rejected, the ones that were done outside of this room. We know we've heard reports that there was map making happening earlier, before there were public maps drawn, and those are the kinds of records that I think the public would like to know. I know there's a new statute now that was passed that says you don't have to make any of that available to the public, but I'm asking whether you will.
I'm not aware of any maps that were drawn outside of that room off campus.
Okay, with respect, I don't think that answers the question, but I'll move on. If I can, is that okay, Mr. Chair?
Senator Marcus, you're recognized for a serious question.
Thank you. If you're not agreeing at this point, at least to make them public, whatever records you may have, I'm wondering if you're taking steps to at least preserve those records in case they are ordered by a court or some other process later for public disclosure.
I would say we are taking the advice of our legal counsel with regard to, I guess, any pending litigation, and we'll certainly follow their guidance.
Are you willing to share what that guidance is so the public knows whether those records are being preserved or not?
We will. I guess we can certainly talk to our legal counsel and say what we're allowed to disclose.
Okay. We had a little bit of public input 2 weeks ago, I think it was. We had a hearing in this room and then a couple in various places of the state. None in Mecklenburg, none in Guilford, none in some of the other bluer areas of our state. But there were some hearings, and I listened to those. I attended one, and I'm wondering how much of that public input was taken into account in drawing of these maps, and if there's any evidence that the public's comments were incorporated into either the Senate map or the congressional maps, if you'd like to address those.
So,
Senator Heiss, you want?
yeah, I was supposed that it's not really about the maps we're discussing, but in the concept, you've listened to all that. Very little of the comment from those three hearings had anything to do with districts that's coming in, but we have reviewed the comments kind of as they've come in. I think the committee as a whole gets the entire what's come in on the website as others. We were there at those committees and others, but I think anyone would be hard to press that there was specific information about specific districts that applied to the drawing of districts that came from that. Not zero, but very little of the commenters addressed any of those areas. I will take this moment to remind people that the public comment portal is still open. We are still receiving comments through that portal. The members of the committee and the chairs will continue to receive that as we go forward.
I'm glad you said that about how the comments weren't very specific about the specific districts. I noticed that as well. And I think that's because, and a lot of people mentioned this in their comments, that the public did not have any proposed maps at the time that the public hearings were held. It's very hard to comment on maps that don't exist. And districts, it's hard to be specific when you don't know how your community is going to be sliced and diced and et cetera. So now that we do have some proposed maps, will there be one or more opportunities for the public to come and speak about these proposals?
There is no scheduled times for hearing. In the 2-minute increments, the portal to receive comments from the public remains open.
So only written comments will be taken from here on out from the public then? Is that what you're saying?
The public portal only receives written comments. That is correct.
Okay, I understand that the portal only receives written comments. I'm asking if you could confirm for me and for the public whether the public will be permitted to comment if this committee is meeting again. I believe you said on Monday. Will we take public comment then or at some other time before a vote is taken on these maps?
There is no scheduled public comment at this time.
Does that mean there won't be, or are you considering that, or you'll let us?
None is scheduled at this time. We haven't even sent the notice out for the meeting, but that although we do think it'll be 10 o'clock on Monday, that's coming in, but at this point, there is none scheduled.
Okay, I guess I'll just say on behalf of the public, I hope that you will allow people to come and speak now that we have maps, and comments can be a little more specific, I think is the word you used before, that they weren't very specific, and now they can be. And then my last comment or question would be, I think we all received a letter signed on by many advocates for democracy and for fair maps and for fair elections. And I just want to remind this committee about some of the things they pointed out as important, meaningful public input being top of mind there. And now that there are maps that we can comment on, I hope that we'll hear from the public, not just in a few of us legislators that get to be in this one committee meeting.
So, Mars, I'll just say this is a process that is similar to every other bill that the General Assembly considers when we go through session. So, any other questions or comments? Senator Blue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I noticed in the criteria used for drawing these Senate maps were pretty much the same criteria used in drawing the congressional maps, minus the obvious things, the cluster concept and residence, I think, the homes of the incumbents, since they don't matter. One doesn't relate to and the other one doesn't matter in the congressional. Is it or has it been your intention to use this criteria the same in each redistricting effort? That is, the effort for the Congress and the effort for the North Carolina Senate, since they're the very same provisions?
So I will say we have used the criteria established. The balance is different. It kind of begins at the process that congressional districts have to be to an individual person. Legislative districts have a plus or 5% variance. The requirements to divide VTDs and others become very different in the legislative maps versus the congressional maps because you have variance.
Sure.
It's in that process. So, but it can still happen. Wake County got so close to the minus 5% that you just didn't have any actual variance to work with within that potting. We followed the Stevenson criteria, others. I think once all those are done, it still remains a balancing of all the remaining criteria.
Yeah, that gets to my answer, but, I mean, my question, but the question is, except in those obvious places, population, the lack of relevance of the Stevenson decision with the whole county question in congressional redistricting. There are three areas where it overlaps, but clearly they would be applied a different way. With respect to the other criteria that you adopted, or that you set forth, For example, the traditional redistricting principles, compactness, contiguity, respect for existing political subdivisions, racial data, and political considerations. Was it your intention that they would be applied in the same manner to both of the redistricting efforts?
I think that question is specific criteria by criteria. There are no point in contiguity. All the districts are contiguous. That's the same in both. That's an absolute. We did not use racial data. That's an absolute. How a particular municipality size compares to 200,000 is different than how it compares to 800,000. So the application of not dividing them is different, but whether that's a population discussion or whether that's a criteria discussion may be two different things. But after meeting those major criterias and the absolute criterias, we then considered the balance of the criteria remaining.
So the concept of compactness with respect to the Senate districts would be the same as the concept of compactness with respect to the congressional districts. That is something that met certain findings or certain results in the REOC and the Polsby Popular measurements. Is that a fair statement?
The standards are the same, the measures are the same as to whether or not something is compact. The legislative districts being smaller in population and having to meet the multi-county grouping criteria, particularly looking at, say, my district that's coming in, how it performs on those compactness measures, and I'm sure we can get those scores for each of those districts as well, may be determined by things other than the choice of the map drawer.
Okay, then if I could then follow up with the the senatorial districts. Do you know how many municipalities were split in this map? I'm sure staff has it somewhere.
The Senate, yes. Go ahead and read it out and tell them where it is.
Senator Blue, this is Erica, and if you will kind of scroll to the back of the stat pack that has been handed out with respect to SCJ-1, there is a district municipality by county report. You are looking for page 18 of 18 of that report. It says that there are 614 total municipalities by county. That accounts for all of our municipalities that lie in more than one county. And then the splits there are 44, and only 34 of those involve population. However, those numbers do not account for the fact that some of those split municipalities, some of that 44, some of that 34, may be due to the fact that the municipality crosses a county line.
Okay. And follow up on that, since we went through the same process in 21, do you have readily available the similar information for the map in 2021? That is the map that was adopted using pretty much the same criteria that was subsequently struck down.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair and Senator Blue. If you'll give me a few seconds to pull that up online.
Okay.
If you want to move on, we'll make sure to get you that information as well.
Okay, thanks. Now, and the same question relating to precincts of ETDs, whatever the terminology is, we're using there's a substantial overlap on those terms now, but the split precincts in both maps too, and you can get that for me later as well. And so, and forgive sort of the craziness of some of my questions, but since I wasn't, and I don't think any of my members were involved in creating these maps, it's just basic
Your members
information.
had the opportunity, staff and.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about the ones before us.
And you haven't filed them yet.
You want me to have input in what your final maps look like?
I'm open to any proposals.
Okay, all right, thank you. But since we weren't, When did you start drawing the maps generally for this cycle?
What day the room open? There is an answer to that. I just have to specifically get it. We do have logs for everyone in the room. So we do have logs that were kept by staff. When everyone comes in, we will get you the date and time that we began drawing.
And the reason that I asked that question is it's tomorrow the 20th. Tomorrow's the 20th. And under the state constitution, the question of residency requires that anybody who's running for the 2024 elections must live in the district that he or she is running in a year before the election. So you got, in effect, 2 weeks for people to make decisions as to whether or not they're running for these seats. In the past, there have been efforts, joint efforts, to have the court suspend this provision of the Constitution. In all fairness to citizens of the state, to the county, especially since you're splitting them in different places. At this point, are you willing to join in an effort to extend that or have that filing period or at least constitutional requirement of residences period suspended for a specific amount of time?
And maybe I'll speak to me and we can have further discussions on this. As it is a constitutional requirement as a legislature, I assume my only remedy for changing that would be a constitutional amendment, and I don't see us having a vote of the people prior to the filing of elections that's coming in. If the judicial branch somehow believes it has some other authority to suspend the Constitution, that would be a different consideration, but I would say that I, as a legislature, the only remedy I would have for that would be to propose a constitutional amendment.
Yeah, courts routinely have the power to do that, especially if they're with consent of all the parties. But moving on to the other area that I thought was important to this inquiry, and Senator Marcus sort of alluded to it somewhat, but who other than full-time members of the General Assembly or our staff were consulted in the drawings of these maps?
So on the Senate side, only members and full-time staff were involved, both pro tem staff and central staff. We have to list all the central staff that were involved, but Senator Daniels and myself were the only two legislators that were involved in the actual drawing of the maps.
You use the word actual. Does that mean the basic concept of what the map would look like, were there external people involved? And the reason I asked this question is that somebody over in the House asked it, and they said that they had used some external person to help them do it. And I just wanted to know whether the Senate did the same thing.
So I won't comment for the House. The House can answer its own questions. We did not have a special master or others involved in the drawing of these maps or consult outside the building. It was all internal. I probably have to add some. We have legal counsel, and we have conversations with legal counsel about the choices we've made and how that applies legally. But yes, we do have legal staff that's not here, but they were not drawers of the map.
Let me ask you a couple of questions about Wake County, since I got a particular interest here, and the maps have been changed substantially from the maps in both the first and second drawings last time. For example, in the area that Senator Batch is now representing, she lives in Holly Springs. And now Holly Springs is a small, not so small, but probably the fifth, sixth largest town in Wake County now. It's been divided, part of it going to the district that Senator Batch was assigned to, and part of it going to a new district. Can you tell me, since it was not previously split, that Holly Springs' basic configuration as a municipality containing 30, 40, 50,000 people would be respected? Can you tell me what changed from the last redistricting to this one that would make Holly Springs be subject to splitting when its municipal boundaries were important and observing in the last cycle?
Senator Blue, all I can tell you is the concept of balancing the maps in Wake County was a precise measure that had to meet very tight variances to stay within the 5% for all the districts when the two-county grouping was so close to 5%. And the concept of making these districts as they are, this is how the process kind of came out, looking at all the criteria as they've changed since the others, since the last time we drew the map, and rebalancing those. These are the maps we have presented. We'd be open to consider other changes if that's something you're proposing.
Yep, but the population has stayed the same. The towns have stayed the same.
We're still using 2020 census data.
Yes, sir. And I'm just wondering, because the same thing happened in Apex. In fact, without going through them item for item, there are 12 municipalities in Wake County, and 9 of them were split, some of them multiple times. And I'm just wondering what drove the decision to do that. Since nothing else had changed, representation had pretty much remained the same with the senators in Wake County. And just what specific part of the criteria that you adopted would have caused that kind of radical change, especially in light of we had several districts in the last round of redistricting that didn't split any towns other than Raleigh and Cary, since it's almost 200,000 on its own, and I think split only 3 or 4 VTDs, and were able to hit those numbers where there's a 52 person margin in each of the 6 districts in this county. And I'm just wondering what changed to make that, the criteria force some different result.
All I can say is this is a new draw of the two-county pot of Granville and Wake County that comes in with the different, similar but different criteria used as we've handed out for what the courts are, what we're considering for doing these. We have used those criteria, and this is the result.
Okay. Just to finish that line of questioning, since I represented most of those towns, now that Garner is split, and I had all of Garner, Roseville, Wake Forest, and Zebulon I already have, but Wake Forest and Roseville will be split so that I get parts of them. And I think Knightdale has been split. And certainly Raleigh split many more ways than it was before, and I'm just wondering. Just a final question regarding these Wake County ones. The incumbent bunking is only present, I think, in two districts, one in Wake County and one in Mecklenburg County. If you knew the location, which was asked and was given, of each incumbent, and that was one of the criteria, why is it that those 2 counties were the only places where there was double bunking occurring?
I'm not saying that others could not have been possible, but I would say that almost all the district boundary lines are contained by the county groupings. So that was with coming in while I was double bunked in the first drawing of my district. There is no other member in my district, and the boundaries are held consistent by the county groupings. That's with coming in. So the largest number of senators, particularly in areas bound by a single county grouping, whereas the only places double bunking could occur would be Wake and Meck. That's what coming in. So when you're trying to avoid those things and others, the prospects of those happening in those two largest counties are some of the only counties, not the only, but some of the only counties where that can occur. As a matter of fact, only the large counties that had multiple members could it occur in to begin with. That's what coming in. So why is it more likely to have occurred in those counties? Because that's the areas where it is possible under the redraw to occur. Not that that was the target. The target was to minimize those as little as possible, but we did have two in the two largest counties. I think both have 5 senators in each county.
We have 6.
6. It's a 2-county, but yes.
And there's still 6 districts, right? Same thing on Mecklenburg, 6 and 6.
Okay. So 12, yeah.
And one of the other things, and this goes back to one of the key points we had talked about earlier, because, and maybe you can explain this in a way that I understand it. Your draw in the Wake Granville this session, the map up there, number 18, I think it is. It has an average Posby Popper compactness score of 0.313. What does that mean? It's length versus width, or however you make that
Yeah, I believe,
calculation.
I'm going to get a little deep here. I believe Posey-Poxter is the square.
The squared, okay.
That's what coming
The
in.
REOC
The
is the
other
other
is
one,
the
okay.
circle. That's what coming in. And so you take the two farthest points, the ratio of the area of the district to the rectangle that's created by the district means that that district contains 30% of the rectangle.
Okay. And the REOC is the opposite of that. It is the actual distance.
It is the circle. So it takes a circle whose radius incorporates the entire district, and it's the ratio of the district to the circle created by the radius.
So if you had a Posby poplar that had a compactness score of 0.313, that would drop to 0.185, that would mean a less compact district, wouldn't it? Regardless of what your measurement standard is, determining what the overall.
I think it's two different questions. Is one saying, the standard used for is a district compact or not is a yes/no question. Does the area represent less of the square or circle? If the number is lower, that is also yes, but the use of that is to determine overall, does it meet a compactness score?
Okay.
There are risks in saying a 0.2 is more compact than a 0.15.
It's a risk, but it's probable that it is that right?
And the larger the distance, the more the risk,
Okay.
the likelihood would be.
Let me hit a couple of others and I'll be finished. And in New Hanover County, I couldn't help but notice that you made a decision this time to move the 6 most densely black populated precincts of VTDs from New Hanover County over into the district that consists of Brunswick and Columbus County. Can you explain why that was done? The population
Can't explain
didn't-
that at all. I have not looked at racial data in regards to these and have no report, so I can't even verify that it is.
I represent to you that that's what happened, and if I make that representation, can you explain to me why that would have happened?
We looked at the criteria and others and made the decision to move New Hanover County cannot contain an entire district. Part of it must go. These precincts clearly meet the boundary for the other district, so it is contiguous. That's what coming in, and that decision was made. I can't comment when we get the racial data and others. That may be a discussion, but that was not part of our decision, so not part of our intent.
And again, Wilmington did not have to be split multiple times with multiple precincts coming out of it, did it?
Generally, we
Doesn't
would
have
not call that
200,000
multiple, generally, we wouldn't call that multiple splits just because it was multiple precincts, but it is split. It is a contiguous area. It is not a double traverse, which I would consider multiple splits. That's what coming in. It is one traverse into New Hanover County.
But you could have kept Wilmington whole totally, couldn't you, if you'd come in the northern part of New Hanover County, which is also adjacent to Brunswick County?
I have not done that, so I don't assume whether you can do it or not.
Give or take a little of the Cape Fear River, it's adjacent. Well, let me
Like not to use water as the
let me visit one last area with you, because we've talked about this before. We did in the last cycle. In northern Mecklenburg, you're familiar with that one. And the draw that you had originally, Davidson, another town, was fully inside of Senate District 37. Now you've decided to split Davidson while also splitting a specific precinct in it, 127, that was previously whole. Why that? You didn't have to split this municipality.
Can get in look, taking all the northern border counties would make the district too large. And so decisions had how border VTDs would have made it too large. And I believe that to do that, one of them had to be reduced, or you didn't take all the northern counties. So the decision was made for the precinct to divide that was divided.
And there you had the discretion of whether or not to double bunk members, and you chose to double bunk the two women who represented those adjoining districts.
Similar to our installment of the previous map, the
But
previous cycle.
at the end of the previous cycle, you decided not to do that, is that right? And that was a valid decision then?
The will of the committee was to change that drawing based on a proposal.
Thank you for your tolerance, Mr. Chair,
Is that it?
for the time being.
Back to Senator Marcus?
Thank you. I would love to follow up on that last comment. I appreciate Mr. Blue asking about Davidson and why you split my town in half when you didn't need to. You said it was the decision of the committee to go back and double bunk me as you tried to do last time. What do you mean by that? It was the decision of the committee to do that?
To clarify, it was the decision of the committee to change the prior map years after we had proposed it. The committee voted on an amendment, accepted that amendment, and changed the map 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's coming in. Just to make sure you understand what I said.
Okay. I'd like to ask about Mecklenburg as well. I think Senator Blue talked about what you did up there for my town of Davidson, so I'll leave that where he left it. But I'd like to talk about that southern Mecklenburg district, if it's possible I don't know who's controlling that screen, but it's kind of hard to see that southern Mecklenburg. Maybe that inset there in the corner would be helpful if we could zoom in on that.
42?
The district I'm
42?
interested in is, yes, 42, as you anticipate there in the southeast. That's one of the districts that changed a lot as well in Mecklenburg. It's a kind of a funny shape now. I think we could agree. And I am wondering, well, I'll just put it this way. Why did you decide to draw it that way? Why change it, and why this way?
Senator Daniel. Senator Daniel. You have the District 42. Snappy.
Do you want to answer the question?
Have you got the snappy? That's what coming in we put.
You mean this?
No.
I have enough. All right, yeah, so I'll go back over it. Senate District 42 includes Matthews and Mint Hill, Ballantyne and South Charlotte neighborhoods such as Myers Park, Barkley Downs, Quail Hollow, Old Providence, and Providence Plantation. So that's Senate District 42. Currently, Senator Hunt lives in that district.
Should I repeat my question? Or?
So he explained what the municipalities were that were kept together by the creation of that district.
Oh, you're saying certain municipalities needed to be kept together? Is that why you drew it this way?
Those were the neighborhoods and communities that were kept together were the ones that I just read off.
Okay. I guess I'm curious, focusing on that strange shape that it is, there's a point that goes way up into the middle of Charlotte there. I think it's precinct 018, which is near the Myers Park area, and I'm wondering why that point way up there makes sense to be joined with way on the other end of that strangely shaped district, that 236, which is on the border with Union and Cabarrus counties. Can you tell me what the thinking is on why those precincts have things in common that should be joined when it is necessary to do it in this strange-looking way?
I think I would just reiterate what Senator Heiss said, is that the chairs drew them out this way based on the criteria we had before us, and that was the way we chose to draw it.
Any particular criteria that explain that, and why, for example, you skipped over 72, which remains in yellow, and 11? There's some there in the middle that seem carved out so that we can get up to that tippy-top point there where the top of the orange is. Is there certain criteria that I'm not thinking of that make sense? That's not compactness at all. Is there some other reason?
They're contiguous.
They're contiguous, yes. So are
That's one of our criteria.
So are the ones you skipped over there.
Well, so just to add to that, Mr. Chair, so I think, obviously, committee members are aware that political considerations are now allowed to be used as one of the criteria, and so, it might be that criteria explains some of the changes in.
Okay. And what about compactness scores? Are you aware of the difference in the compactness score from the current map compared to this map?
We have instructed staff to get that to the committee for all of these.
Okay. From what I've seen, I think it drops considerably in compactness. It's much less compact than it was. Does that change your thoughts at all on whether it makes sense to draw the district that way?
I think, some of these criteria are interchangeable. You improve one, you decrease another, so.
Okay. Is there a criteria that's improved by this version of Senate District 42?
I'll let you do your own analysis.
Other than, I guess you said the political ramifications, that's improved, but that's not necessarily a criteria. So I'm just wondering, when you refer to the criteria, the current map has the same population, so that's not improved, but this is less compact. So what's improved by this draw?
In any given district, you might improve compactness, but you might also now split a community of interest. You might split a municipality. So just in general, when you improve one criteria, you might decrease another criteria.
I'll leave it there.
Go ahead, Senator Blue.
Just one that occurred to me. If I could have staff put up Wake County again, just a couple of questions.
While they're trying to get that up again, I'll go ahead and clarify this because I'd started on it. This is clarify our direction to central staff to produce and apply the racial data to the stat pack, not to Maptitude. We're being told that that could create, there's separate versions of the software out and trying to change the main database for race, but I am assured by staff that anyone drawing will have the availability of the racial data to be able to draw at this point, and we will have it in all the stat pack reports that come out. Whether it's in the data system could cause problems with the data system. But.
And it's more a cautionary point, but I think it was Rucho, the 2018 decision of the U.S. Supreme Court considered these urban districts and looked at the impact of overly jamming all of minority votes into one district. which you can do in Charlotte, in Mecklenburg, and you can do to some extent in Wake and Guilford. And I just caution you a little bit that that is still a live issue since the court made specific findings there. But I'm trying to figure out on this and understand, except for probably 100 feet, 200 feet somewhere in the Wake Granville County line that the two counties agreed to do a swap on 10, 12 years ago. I've represented every inch of Wake County at one point or other in the House or Senate, every inch of the county, and enjoy representing all of the good folk in Wake County. But as I look at that map, the 13 district coming up to the center of Knightdale and just picking up a little of the Knightdale population without pulling the rest of it with it does a disservice to Knightdale. And I'm wondering whether the map makers thought about that, especially with respect to 13, because rather than the river being the natural boundary and various other things in communities of interest and what have you, there are some issues in the Wake County mapping that create real concerns, and I wonder whether any of those things occurred to the chairs as you drew these maps.
So, Senator Boo, what I will say to that concept again is when looking at District 13 of the 200,000 individuals, or District 14, or any of the districts in Wake County, you had on average about 50 individuals that could be added to a district or not, as to whether or not that district went below 5% or it pulled too many so that all the other districts wouldn't be able to reach that standard. So it is much tighter standards. So picking up, when doing that and drawing, picking up an entire municipality and those kind of things may not nearly have been as possible when you had the number of people that you had to pick up in a district had to be so precise.
Okay, and looking at 13, do you think that that is a compact district?
I don't have the score numbers in front of me to tell you if that would be a compact district. I will tell you that it's one that probably fits a rectangle better than it does a square, but beyond that, I don't have those numbers.
And the same for 14 as well? And
Although it would be similar between a circle and a square, but
even with the crab claw on the end,
yeah.
the northern end of it. The reason that I raise this is because the totality of circumstances and the way that you look at the criteria is a measurement in the other area that I just want to ask a couple of questions about. And you alluded to it earlier when you were making your comments. But I can't help but make a few comments, follow up on the Section 2 issues that I think that the chairs ought to be aware of in this map. And I point them out because, again, I think that there's a way to get these things resolved without 5 more years of litigation. And I'd ask you to take them into account as you come up with the final version of wherever it is you plan to land in this thing. In the northeast of North Carolina, the last time you flipped these groupings that were required in the required by the court decisions, and because the cluster had a choice that you could make, and that choice was the one that the candidates ran under last year, and the one that you make now, and you ultimately decided to flip that choice. Yet you've gone back to it, and the data will show that there's an analysis that has to be done or should have been done with respect to polarization in that area. And the voting results and everything else are things that go into account. But the greatest indication is the anecdotal indication, and that is the candidates who lost in that section over the last election cycle. And so I'm hoping that you'll visit it in such a way and make the analysis that is incumbent upon this legislature to make, not somebody from the outside to come show you that there's some analysis that ought to be done. It is the responsibility of the legislature to make that determination, the first leg of the analysis that you have to do to determine where everything else in this redistricting cycle flows. And I think that you said you hadn't done it, but would welcome anybody's input that showed you how an analysis of this issue in the Northeast would play out. And so I'm hoping that you make some kind of analysis on your own as you decide what the final configuration of these maps ought to be. Because I think that it's important from the standpoint of where we are and what the jurisprudence in the state and this country is going to look like.
Appreciate your comments. The point I'm making is that we have not done an additional analysis other than that was done in the court cases since the last redistricting concept, and further discussion allowed. I think the 22 election may very well give us all the conclusions we need about the performance of the previous district towards the type of district that was required to be performed there, and whether that still holds any meaning as to why we should have to do a different pod switch that's coming in. So kind of leave it at kind of that, and I'm sure we'll be back at it very soon.
Yeah, what was that, a 2000 analysis?
It would
The
have
year 2000?
It would have followed the 2020 census, so it was during the court case
It was 2000.
last year.
Yeah.
So that it was conducted by the experts in the 22 case. So, or 2020 case. So that's what's coming in. So, any other questions or comments? Again, I think anything else technical staff's aware of that I need?
Mr. Chair, would you like me to answer the split municipality question? As Senator Blue, we've gotten the numbers on the split municipalities across the three plans. So the plan that is before the committee today, SCJ-1, again, has split municipalities of 44 and 34 of those involving population. Neither of those two numbers account for the fact that there are municipalities that are split by county lines. In 2021 plan, which was Session Law 2021-173, those numbers are 34 split municipalities with 12 involving population. Same thing, does not account for the fact that there are some municipalities split by county lines. The 22 plan adopted by the General Assembly, which was Session Law 2022-2, it is 33 split municipalities with 26 involving population.
Anything else? I think we've got the directions to staff. I will let you know. I will tell to everyone that staff, please make arrangements with staff in either room that you wish to draw for any amendments or others. We will look to consider those on Monday. And with that being said, we will have exhausted the agenda and the committee will stand adjourned.